Okay, everything is functioning. We just wanted to make sure microphones are running. And so, therefore, I'm on a little earlier, which is just 5 minutes. So, why I'm on so early is just to make sure stuff is running right. So, I'm going to type in my title. We're recording this live. Today's show is Clear Blue Radiance, of course. And our topic for today will be your 8 affirmations for self empowerment. And I decided to take these straight out of my book because I want people to get introduced to the information that I have in my book. And a lot of these things that are in my book, I've been teaching anyway for a very long time. So it is always uh, a unique time and opportunity to be able to share such information for this. And today is called Pi Day. That's kind of fits what the late Reverend Ike used to say. Don't wait for your pie in the sky, have it now. So this is about giving you things that you can share right now in this very moment. And look who's on here. The Golden Timeline 711 herself. You're putting it out there strong. That's why I came on. So I better hurry up before Julie pops on here. Glad to see you here. Glad to know that you're doing well. And I know that you are. And I hope you and your boys are doing great. Today's particular topic, I just had my sheet. I didn't even have time to write it out because it's in the book. But it is called Your 8 Affirmations for Self Empowerment. And many of you know that I'm a spiritual counselor and I've been one for some time, over 40 years. And it's what I like to do. I like to help people gain greater clarity. You might have clarity right now to uh, actualize it and make it bigger, make it blossom. Okay. And then also with that, to help you define or redefine your purpose. Our purpose changes in life as we change. So just like people say, well, how do we get out of the matrix? The only way you do that is focus on yourself. How do we heal the body? Focus on yourself. How do we heal? Can we heal mental illness? I believe you can, but you got to work on yourself and you got to get help with someone that could, show you things to do so that you're not falling into those old patterns of behavior. So, one of the things I should say right now is, what is an affirmation? Well, an affirmation, the word affirm means to make something that you already know is true. And since you already know it's true, now you're going to give it more life, you're going to give it more energy. The first thing that an affirmation does, it actually retools your mind. So our mind is what? What we can sense, what we can discern, what we could create, visualize, what we could see through our eyes, utilizing the mind, how we can think. And so affirmations are used to really empower your thinking process. But it also can elevate you from low self esteem to high self esteem. So it's all about creating a new you and helping yourself stay within that zone so that you can improve your life, improve your personal life, your family life, your social life, whatever life you got, whatever life you are drawn into, opportunities and events, affirmations do work. Now, I've seen people across the internet for 10, 20 years, 30 years. I've seen a lot of people out here in New Mexico. They say, well, affirmations don't work. Well, I'll tell you, like the late Reverend Ike used to say, If it doesn't work, that means you don't know how to work it. He used to say stuff like that. You got to work it. You got to put it in gear. You got to put it into place into your life. Because in order to have this sensation of ascension that everybody is seeking, the planet's going to do whatever it's supposed to do. Mother Nature has its course. It's going to do whatever it's supposed to do. It's always evolving anyway. So, in order for us to kind of catch up to the frequency that Mother Earth is putting out there, we have to change our views. We have to change our opinions. We have to get to a point where we're not talking from an opinionated state of mind. We are talking from truth. And in this process called ascension, there's a lot of work, a lot of core work. Some of that core work is called shadow self. That's the side that we hide from the world. And people are consciously hiding things from the world all the time. In other words, when people act one way in public, they go home and they act completely different. A lot of us in the age group that we are now, in the 50s and the 60s, and those born in the 40s, they were always hiding. They didn't want anybody to know that people were going through mental illness. Why? Because people in the 40s didn't get help. People in the 30s couldn't afford help because of the Great Depression. And all during that time was racism going on through the United States. You ain't had time to get help. You only had time to survive. Yes. So when one can't trust themselves, then they hide. They're afraid that the monster on the inside of the closet is going to come out. The addictive monster, the sexual addictions, the drug addictions, the alcohol addictions, the addiction that leans into the mindset of being a narcissistic person. So people show you one aspect in public, but behind closed doors, they're raising hell in their families, amongst their circles of friends, where they drive everybody away from them. I remember meeting a guy two or 3 years ago. I think about 3 years ago, and I was across town in another area on the borderline of Albuquerque, going toward Rio Rancho. But I was in this other area where I have my UPS box, and I have to go pay for it. And so I was going there to make the payment. This guy pulls up in a truck, and he's seen me before, and I've seen him before. And this guy is an Al-Anon counselor. And I had a particular expression on my face that day. Basically, I was tired. I was exhausted. That's when I was writing my numerology book, and I just completed it and got it up online and had to correct the manuscript several times and got it up before I had the interview with Brother Lloyd Strayhorn. So, which I was going to have coming up in that next week. So here I was walking across the parking lot, and this guy, I didn't even see him. He's in his white pickup truck and he's tooting the horn really loud. Finally gets my attention. He says, "Every time I see you, you look depressed." I said to him, "Every time I see you, you're hoping that you could see the expression of depression on my face. I'm not depressed. I'm physically tired because I've been working on a manuscript and I finally got it done." And I'm like, finally done with it. He said, "Man, I want to take you to this meeting I go to." And then I had to go, okay, this guy is an Al Anon counselor. However, he doesn't know anything about boundaries. So I said, well, I'm going to go over here and pay for my box. And then I'd like to take you out to lunch. I said, no, I'm going to go over here to Starbucks where I like to sit down and have lunch. And I'm going to have a cup of coffee. You're welcome to join me. Well, he was trying to get me to make an arrangement to go to an Al Anon meeting. And I was telling him I walked that path a long time ago. I said, I wasn't an alcoholic. I'm an adult child of an alcoholic. It's difference. And the scars are different. So we talked for about a good hour. And then it finally dawned on him that I wasn't the kind of person that he's looking for. But what I had him realize was he was the kind of person that was hiding. And I had to explain to him about the shadow self and that he's creating this world around himself where he's supposed to be what we call a sponsor, but he's still struggling at his deepest level. And once I got him to see that, then he really understood that what he's been doing is imposing himself on others. He's been showing this image to other people that he's okay. So he's been using other people's pain to cover or to mask himself. So when people do these kind of things, yeah, projecting onto me. And I said, you know what you sound like, John? He says, what? You sound like a guy that needs to go see your counselor. Not so much the group. You need to do some serious personal work. You need to go to a counselor because what you're trying to create with me, I'm not going to let you create it. He said, I'm not creating anything. I said, yeah, you're trying to create what is called a codependent friendship, where you're hoping that you could trigger me and then you're going to get hyped behind it and you're going to feel like you're the savior. But what's going on is you are having difficulty in saving yourself. So after we spoke for about a good hour, I didn't even order my lunch. I wound up going to another favorite spot after that. But it took him a little while to understand that he was projecting onto me his weaknesses, his addictions, this mental thing where he had to have a power over somebody else. And I wasn't allowing him to have that. You know, he was trying to take the conversation and turn the table. I said, you can't turn the table. I said, you really need to deal with those issues, or you're going to ride around, you're going to pick up somebody far different than me, and they're going to physically or mentally hurt you because you're trying to gaslight everything they say. That's the sign of a narcissistic person. And you really need to study those things. So, you know, when I saw him, yes. So when I saw him a year later, he said, man, look at this. I found this book. And he was showing me a book that Louise Hay had written. I said, that's a very good book for you. I said, anything in the new thought realm would be good for you. He said, you know about this stuff? I says, yeah. So I show him my website and he goes, oh man, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you're that caliber. I said, yeah, well, everybody's got their ups and downs. But the important thing is you cannot project your life onto someone else's. You can't gaslight someone else. You can't do that and think you're going to hide, because all of your thoughts, all the things you put out in the universe are going to come back to you. They always do. So I wanted to project that because it reminded me how people give away their power. And people are giving away their power all the time. We all experience it. We all have dominant figures in our lives that do that. And sometimes it's very difficult if you come from a well-structured family, that where in that family there's a lot of compassion, a lot of grace, a lot of unconditional love. The parents really grow the child. The child can become independent. But sometimes parents latch on to their children. And there are a lot of people like that today. And their children are like in their 20s and they're still latching on to them. Why? Because they're hiding behind the child who is now an adult. and they don't want anybody to notice something is wrong with them as the parent. So these affirmations that I came up with, they actually were taken from my book, Decree and It Shall Be, Speak as I Am. That was a book that I had was directed from my higher self to write, from my ancestors to write, because I'm good at writing affirmations for other people. I know how to write them. I'm getting a little better on writing affirmative prayers for people. So people can write those affirmative prayers for themselves. People can write prayers for themselves. And it doesn't matter so much where you take the prayer from. You might borrow the prayer from a Bible. You might borrow the prayer from the Quran. You might borrow the prayer from the Hindu side of religion. Whatever fits you, fits you. I think that book is called Bhagavad Gita. I used to study that thing in my 20s. I don't remember much of it now, but released a lot. But it was a challenge to study the Bhagavad Gita because it was about how the mind worked and how the mind can consume itself with all of its fears and all of its doubts. So these affirmations help people to become empowered again. So, and you can use an affirmation like the form of a prayer or affirmative prayer or as a decree, or you could choose to use them as a silent meditation or meditation on the words. What do the words feel like to you? So here are the 8 affirmations that I'm going to put forward here. So I have this. The first one says, I affirm each and every day that I am healthy, happy, and grateful. The purpose of using an affirmation is to build that seed thought into your mind. But you have to say it, you have to meditate on it, you have to hear the sound of your own voice pronouncing those words, then proclaiming those words, and you have to be able to feel the energy that's coming up out of your body. See, the mind, that's why I wrote the book called Radiant Heart, because I've come to the understanding not only is the thought constantly sending out signals, but your feelings through your heart are pulsating, sending out signals. And it is known scientifically that the heart radiates a bigger field of energy than the mind. That's because the heart has no reservation. It has no walls around it. It's pumping all the time. It's pulsating information into the ethers, into your surroundings all the time. When you're doing it through your mind, with your brain, of course, you can like stop the thought, but you can't stop the feeling. That feeling is building up internally. So when it says I affirm, that means you make firm, you know this is a true statement each and every day that I am healthy, happy, and grateful. Well, the way these 8 affirmations of self empowerment are put together, they're written like building blocks. So, number 1, you're identifying yourself right there with number 1. Here's number 2. I affirm that I am living in harmony and my life overflows with prosperity, abundance, and the goodness of life. Why? Because it comes from being healthy, happy, and grateful. So it's like these are steps taking you up into the heavens of your own crown and your own heart through your chakras. You might say the first one is very much like the root chakra. The second one is very much like the sacral chakra. And here's something for the solar plexus. I affirm that I live my life with a greater sense of purpose. We have to sense something. We have to know from whence we are coming from and where we're going to. Sense means direction. All right. So you're going to have a greater direction for your purpose. Your purpose is, what are you here to do? What do you feel that you're supposed to be doing now? And here's the kicker in that. You don't have to do the same thing over and over and over through your entire life. Some people are, some people aren't. But if we put it all together, we're here to express divine love onto this world. We're here where everybody really respects each other, loves each other. Doesn't matter what your political opinion is. I remember growing up, and many of you women may remember this too. The women, the mothers, the aunties, they all went to their beauty salons, and next door were was the barber shop. So you had the barber shop and you had the beauty salon, right? And so the barber shop in the melanated, Moorish, African American, whatever community you want to call it, this was like our country club. This was the smoking club. They would let the men in there smoke, but after a while, nobody wanted to get all that smoke. They would have a TV set on. So during the weekday, you catch the news. Okay, you can hear the news being played 6 p.m. or whatever. But on Saturdays, everybody's watching sports: baseball, basketball, football, the college games, right? Because people were out betting on those, or the horse races. But those were like the country clubs in our communities. People could share their thoughts, share their fears, share their doubts, share their issues. It was the meeting place within the community, other than a church. So it was there where people can begin to figure out their purpose. It was a place where older men were mentoring younger men because the teenagers would come and get their haircuts. And then the mothers and fathers would bring their sons in to get their haircuts. So they could all hear this conversation, hopefully raising their consciousness, ascending their consciousness at the same time. And if you were ever in these places as a young person, you would get so attracted to it that, yeah, you'd be there in your high school days, taking yourself in to get a haircut or your hair done. Okay, especially when it was proms coming up, those places were fully packed. Okay, and then you went away to college, and then you came back, and everybody got to see you every summer getting your hair done. These were the places where people learned about culture and the culture within the community and what was going on inside. But it was a place where you could raise a person's consciousness. You can actually give them an identity if they didn't have one. So that third one is dealing with the solar plexus. I affirm that I live my life with a greater sense of purpose. Once you know what your purpose is, then you can make it better for yourself. Here's the fourth one that lines up going toward the heart. I have come to the realization that I am one with divine source. I affirm this truth. So that's what an affirmation is doing. It's the act of making something firm in your life. If it's the truth, you understand it as truth, you will make that truth stick so that you never forget. It becomes a part of your awareness, your remembrance about who you are, who you can be, what you want to do. Like Reverend Ike used to say, you want to get in position to be, do, and have. Be something and then do something about it. What is it you want to be? What is it you want to do? And then you can go have. Those are the three things that he laid out there. These affirmations do the same. These affirmations, when you word them properly, and it's not that you have to make it the most beautiful statement, but you got to make it a direct statement with words that make you think, words that make you feel, because when you pronounce the word out loud, you got to hear what that sounds like. So here's the fifth one, going to the throat chakra. Each morning that I awaken from a deep sleep, I affirm that I am whole and complete. Well, here's the take on that. Reverend Ike used to talk about this all the time in his congregations because the way his book, Blue Book, was set up, 52 chapters. Each chapter is a Sunday, each chapter is a week. So he would say, if even if you're not feeling well or you're feeling sick or you know you're sick, he said you could talk your body back into being healthy. I'm paraphrasing this. He would say, don't let yourself say, I am sick with a lot of emotional energy behind it. Because the subconscious part of yourself doesn't hear all those words, it sees the feeling inside yourself. So if you have this image of yourself being sick, that gets absorbed into the subconscious mind because the emotional magnetic side draws it into the body, draws it into the brain, draws it into the cellular memory of the body. He would say, let the sick say, I am well. Let the poor say, I am wealthy. Why? Because you have to turn around your consciousness. You got to turn the energy around so you can feel better, see better, know better, have better, do better, care better for yourself. So can you imagine yourself saying something like this? I affirm that I am whole and complete. And at that point, I wrote I am in capital letters because I am is considered the name of the creation, of the creator, of the entire universe. So when you empower your phrases with I am, and in your mind seeing those three letters capitalized, then it's coming from your higher self. It's coming from the Shekinah inside you, the power to emanate the God essence inside yourself. And so once you begin to believe that, you go from belief, which is you're not sure, to knowing something, which means you have faith because you've seen it in action before. You've seen yourself being whole and complete. You see yourself being, when you say you're whole, what you're saying is you're not in need of anything. There's no neediness. You may desire a lot of things, but you don't need them because you're paying attention to the accumulated wealth that you have achieved for some time. We might look back and say, well, how much money do I may not have any money today, but how much money did I have last year this time? And if you can honestly say that last year this time you had a whole lot of money to work with, whatever that is for you, that means you can make it happen again. You just somehow got off track. So you don't want to get off track. You want to get back on track. You want to get back on track where you begin to see and believe in yourself. See and believe who you truly are within yourself. And as you do that, then you start to evolve. You start to ascend within yourself. Your whole body has to take on that truth value, not a part of you, all of you. So if your entire body can feel the phrasing, the power of the energy in your words and your phrases, if your body can hear the articulation that you're putting into the ethers, the body believes, the body knows. Because if you ever been in an accident where you fell, there's a certain time of the year that comes around. And your body, the closer you get to the anniversary of that date, your body starts acting out, starts getting nervous, twitching, itching sensation, cramps, anything to keep you from moving around because the body can feel you going into the same type of scenario without truly paying attention. Good afternoon, Barbara. We'll be on later today. That workshop that I couldn't get off last time, I'm going to get it off tonight. That will be, your all's time. Whenever I designate it, I think it's 8 p.m. your time. Well, anyway, what is unique is we are creating a new pattern of behavior for ourselves. That's what we do when we use affirmations. Affirmations get you to switch up the mind and start to think differently, but also feel differently about what you're saying. So, if you can feel differently about what you're saying, then you have this opportunity where you cannot fail. So, that fifth chakra, you opened up by saying, each morning that I awaken from deep sleep, the deep sleep is the abyss. That's the throat chakra. In the tree of life, that's the hidden sphere. That's sphere number 11. But that's where your hidden power comes from. So you're stating, I affirm that I am whole. The I am presence in you is always whole and complete. It means it's complete within itself, it's infinite within itself, and it keeps turning energy continuously within inside itself that then gets expressed on the outside. Then we have the brow center that comes on board. And the brow center would be, or the third eye, excuse me, I affirm that I am in a better place now than ever before in my life. So when we say that we're in a better place now than ever before in our lives, this means we can go back into the past, what we think is the past. That's why I said, how will you feel today? Look at it a year ago, 2 years ago. What were you doing today 2 years ago? What were you doing today 3 years ago? Hey, today is the 14th. This is 2024. So in 2012, actually 2011, March 14th, 2011, I was on the Amtrak train, and it happened to be like a Sunday. I was on an Amtrak train, and I was leaving the East Coast, traveling from New Jersey, Hackettstown, New Jersey, into Newark, New Jersey, where I had to get the Amtrak. I had to wait for the Amtrak coming out of Boston. And I caught that commuter Amtrak train coming out of Boston and rode that thing all the way down through Philadelphia and all these other places, down in even a little bit of Maryland and back up into Washington, D.C. When I got to Washington, D.C., I had a 90-minute wait. Why? Because everybody's converging. And what is so interesting is that Amtrak station is called Union Station. In Chicago, it's called Union Station. In New York City, it's Union Station. It's right there, Pennsylvania Union Station. So, and Newark has that same thing. But we're traveling, and we left like I think about 2 o'clock or so, and then we started heading up toward working our way all the way towards Chicago. And in Chicago, I had a 5 hour wait. So when I left, we arrived in Chicago at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now I had a 5 hour wait. So I got to hang out with a friend of mine there, one of my Moorish brothers, taking me all over Chicago. And then I had this other opportunity where things were going well. Hold on a second. So I had this opportunity to take that Amtrak ride all the way to Chicago and then leave out of there at 3:30 p.m. and wind up here in Albuquerque the next day, March the 14th, on about 4:30 in the afternoon, where it was 75 degrees out. That's what I did several years ago, going back in time, 13 years ago, taking that train ride here. And once I did that, I was able to then relax and see and do what I had to do and had a great time. So I bring that up because we're using affirmations to empower ourselves, to, to change the way we are thinking so that we think better. That's our goal, to think better, to be better, to feel better about ourselves. Affirmations are taking words and creating a building block system for ourselves to strengthen our foundational thought processes and also to be able to reshape our lives, rebuild and reshape our lives through the power of the words that we speak. That's what affirmations are for. Strengthening yourself first. Then when you do a prayer, it's stronger. And then when you do an affirmative prayer, it's even that much stronger. And then when you turn it into a decree, then you're saying without any doubt in your mind, this is who you are. This is how your life is, or this is how your life shall be, without any doubt in your mind. So when you hear other people say affirmations don't work, they don't work for them because they don't understand the science of speaking. So here's the crown chakra affirmation. I affirm that I am in a better place now than I am before in my life, right? That's here. And now, when you go through this to make sure we got it right, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So the seventh one is I affirm that in every moment, my frequency is higher. That's because you change your thought process and your feeling. Your frequency is higher, and I am feeling great. I am feeling great joy, and I affirm that I am joyful every day of my life. You switch the frequency on yourself. You raise yourself from a lower vibration into a higher vibration. Now, beyond the crown, they call, like in some groups, they call the soul star. That's the energy where the higher self energy is sitting there before it settles all the way through your body. And that statement, that affirmation is as I open my heart, I feel loved and healed through love. I affirm that I am living a peaceful and harmonious life here and now. I affirm I am one with the source of divinity within me. All is well. That's from this book, which is also that came from my other book at the same time, which dealt with affirmations, decrees, affirmative prayer, prayer, and meditation. That book was Decree and It Shall Be. And I put the excerpt right here. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I got to go already. Usually I'm on for almost 45 minutes. I'm supposed to be on for 15 to 30 minutes, but I enjoy sharing this information with all of you. May you have a prosperous day. And Sister Barbara, I'll see you on later on. We'll do that once a month workshop done on the first Thursday. The numerology course is going pretty well. I got about 3, 4 people, but 3 regulars that are on with me, and a lot of them have been followers of Lloyd. One of them is one of my own students, meditation students out here, learning numerology with me. Here's another thing: is that my birthday is coming up. I'm looking to wear that beautiful fedora that Sister Jackie gifted me with after I teach my class, which should be this Saturday. I have my meditation class out here. Once I do that 1 hour class with everybody, I guess we'll either go out and have a bite to eat, or maybe I'll come back home and rest. Why? Because I got a vegan style carrot cake that's either coming to me tomorrow at some point, or it's going to be delivered to me on Sunday. So I want to be around to receive that. Well, thank you for listening to me and joining me here every Thursday whenever I can be here. You make sure you have a blessed Thursday. It's a Jupiterian day. This is a very strong day, what people call Pie Day, right? As Reverend Ike says, why wait for your pie in the sky when you can have it now? And that's what it's all about. Everybody take care of yourself. See you real soon. Have a great weekend as well. I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey for a clear blue radiance here on the Resident Essentials YouTube channel. Remember, until next time, divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. Look forward to chatting with all of you really soon. And see you next week.